What is up? Nailed It podcast. My name is Sydney Correll. I am the marketing director and client success director here at Contractor Dynamic. And in today's episode, you are going to go on a journey with myself and Elizabeth Lytle as we talk about marketing managers within your company specifically. Within this podcast, we are going to go over what makes the best marketing managers. What are those characteristics and those qualities that you should be looking for if you're looking to hire a marketing manager? We're also going to go through how to hold that marketing manager accountable. We're also going to give you tips on how to help them be successful within your organization. So buckle up and get ready for all of this incredible information about how to help your marketing manager be successful in your business. Before we dive in today, you guys, we are just going to give you a little bit of context on who we are. So as I said, I'm Elizabeth. I am our integrator here at Contractor Dynamics. I used to play the marketing manager role for a company here in Memphis, where I live. And there were some things that I received as support that really helped me be successful. And at Contractor Dynamics, because we're working with so many marketing managers all over the country in very different markets with varying levels of success, we've compiled this information to bring to you guys based on our clients, but also other marketing managers that we know all over the country working specifically with service-based businesses. So I'm joined today, as I said, by Sydney Correll. Sydney, why don't you kick us off and tell a little bit more about you?
Yeah, so I have a pretty similar story. As of right now, I am the marketing director and client success director at Contractor Dynamics. But prior to this position, I also was kind of like a do-it-all sort of person at a small roofing company, a startup roofing company. And prior to that, I worked as the marketing manager for a roofing company. And then prior to that, I worked at a giant digital marketing agency. So between all of those experiences, really just got to learn a lot about the marketing manager position, saw lots of things that should be done and also things that really shouldn't be done through all of those different interactions with clients and being a marketing manager. And so I think this podcast episode is just going to be so valuable, not only to marketing managers, but also to owners, so that owners can lead that person effectively. One of the biggest challenges, I would say, as an owner of a roofing company that has a marketing manager is that you may not have a degree in marketing. You may not know all that much about marketing. And so trying to hire that person or hold that person accountable can be kind of challenging if you're not really sure what to hold them accountable to. So this topic is just going to be so valuable, and I'm really excited that we're going to dig into this today.
Awesome. You guys, Sydney has tons of experience with this, so I'm super excited to have her on and for you guys to hear her perspective. So if you are an owner and you are on the hunt for a marketing manager, we are going to give you some characteristics that you should be looking for in that person. If you are an owner and you're considering whether or not you need a marketing manager, we're not looking at your business, we're not looking at your numbers, so we're not going to emphatically say, yes, you must go find someone today. However, we do want to challenge you to think about this as an option for your business, because it's so important for someone in your business to wake up every day and have that responsibility of getting your brand and your company in front of new eyes every single week and every single day. So if you are, again, an owner looking for a marketing manager, if you are an owner who already has a marketing manager, or if you are a marketing manager, this is going to be beneficial to you because, again, we're going to go through all of these things. So take some notes, you guys. The one thing that I do want to say before we dive specifically into the characteristics of a marketing manager is this. A marketing manager position is a revenue driving position. This is a position where their sole responsibility is, again, growing your brand and getting you all in front of more people. I want to give you an analogy before we dive in that helped me kind of wrap my mind around this concept as well. And Sydney, you can really relate. Sydney is a gym junkie as well, so she'll really relate to this analogy. But here's the deal. When you go to the gym, you know, most of us are not personal trainers, right? But we go to the gym, we've got some ideas of what we want to do. We kind of, we trim out some ice cream here, or we try some new cardio or whatever. And here's the deal. Maybe we'll have some success. We might do some things right. We might see a little, strength in our bicep, or we might run a little bit faster. However, we're going to have a much higher likelihood of success when we go hire someone who is specifically trained to help us achieve our goals, right? When we have someone who can help us with our nutrition and with our fitness routine and what weights to lift and what cardio to do. That way we have someone specialized for that specific thing. A marketing manager is going to be very similar. When you've got someone who's in that role, other than an owner who wears, 37 hats and is pulled in 37 different directions in any day, a marketing manager is just going to help you be more successful because they're going to focus on that one thing every single day. So you're going to have much higher chance of actually succeeding with your marketing. Sydney, anything to add there before we dive into characteristics of highly performing marketing managers?
Yeah, I would just say one of the common phrases that we use at Contractor Dynamics is the fact that somebody needs to be waking up in your company every single day thinking about marketing. And when you're growing as a company, what tends to happen as an owner is your role constantly shifts, and you're going to need to find someone whose sole responsibility, as Elizabeth said, is to focus on marketing. Also, it may not be the best use of your time as the owner to implement every single marketing objective that you dream of putting into place within your company. And that's where a marketing manager can really help. So I wholeheartedly agree with everything you just said, Elizabeth. It is absolutely vital for companies, especially as they grow.
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, let's get into the characteristics of high-performing marketing managers. And Sydney, here's what I would love to hear. I would love, because you work with really all of our clients, no pressure on you, right? You're in charge of all of our clients' success. You do such a great job of making connections with each of our client companies, and you've had a lot of experience working with marketing managers all over the country. What are a few of the characteristics that you see that are maybe similar from those marketing managers that you've interacted with?
Yeah, there are a good handful of things that I will specifically take note of. However, I would say the foundation of it all, the first thing that needs to be pointed out is whether or not that person is a core value fit at your specific company. Like for us at Contractor Dynamics, we hire and we fire based on our core values. Like we take them very seriously because it's the core of who we are. And so we want folks and team members that are going to be spearheading those initiatives. And so I would say the most common pitfall that roofing companies tend to run into with marketing managers, if they hire someone that's maybe not a good fit, is because they didn't assess whether or not that person was a core value fit from the very beginning. So I would just say if you're a roofing company owner and you do not have core values, please, please, please sit down and contemplate what those core values are, and then hire and fire based on those core values specifically. Feel free to measure your team based on that specific foundational standard first and foremost.
That's such a great point, Sydney. It's so true that, especially in an industry where you do see a good bit of turnover in a variety of positions, one of the things that I think is the common denominator is bringing people on based on maybe their experience and not on who they are as a person and whether or not they're going to fit our culture. And that's a massive thing that I've certainly learned over the last year is that, I'll hear from different business owners, man, I can't fire that guy. He's a cash cow, but he's toxic to everyone else around him, right? And what happens is then you begin to lose other team members. So you've got to choose. Do you want to keep building the team, or do you want that one single person who you believe is a high performer? The reality is, if you want to grow a business year after year, you've got to have those culture and core value fit. So that's huge. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. What else? Any other similarities that you would share with us?
Yeah, I would say one of the most common complaints that I hear from owners is that they want their marketing managers to take initiative, be the person that really drives marketing efforts. Another phrase would be like takes the bull by the horns, a doer. Those types of personalities tend to perform very well in the marketing manager role. So when you're interviewing, when you're looking for a person who's going to really help you take your marketing and your company to the next level, you're going to want to look for somebody who has that drive and that initiative, someone who is aligned with your goals, obviously, but is also going to encourage you to kind of step up your game as well as they are driving the bus of your marketing efforts and kind of holding the whole team accountable to that.
Excellent. That's a great point. So basically, everyone needs to go out and find them a Sydney. We just need to write down Sydney's top characteristics, and everyone just find you a Sydney if you can. That's a great point. Absolutely. That is one of the most common things I hear is, I wish that they would take more initiative. I wish they would, be a bit more of a doer. And that's true. That personality does tend to be really successful there. What else? What other characteristics do you see?
I would say there also has to be a balance between someone who's very innovative and yet organized at the same time. I have seen situations where a marketing manager falls too heavily into one of these two categories, and usually it can result in a lot of challenges. Now, this is one of those characteristics that I believe people can be coached on. So it's not like something, I wouldn't say don't hire a person that doesn't have a good balance of these things. Just know that you're going to have to hold them accountable, train them on that specific balance. But if you can find somebody that naturally has that balance of innovation and being well organized, then that's going to be a really good combination for that role. If you have someone who is too innovative and not organized, you will find that they constantly have all these great ideas that never get done. And so you'll find that you're kind of running in place or on like a hamster wheel, and that's not ideal. But if you have somebody that's really organized but doesn't have ideas and isn't innovative, then you're going to find that stuff gets done, but it's the same activities that get done over and over again without the ideas to kind of take your company to the next level. So I would say that that balance is something that's really crucial. And again, I think a lot of that can be taught, encouraged, coached, again, but having a balance of both is crucial in this role.
That's great. Sydney, I want to take a little detour there because what you just said is that those characteristics can be coached. And the key there is, number one, you have to find someone who is coachable, who is teachable, who is willing to receive that feedback. And at Contractor Dynamics, that's one of our core values, right? So that's what we're looking for. We're looking for people who are open to getting feedback, who are, people who are going to be a sponge. They're going to soak up some training. They're willing to improve and to learn. That's something that I think is absolutely vital in a marketing manager, someone who is willing to analyze and adjust, because that's a massive part of marketing, not just in, the individual pieces of data that you're looking at, but in the role as a whole, analyzing and adjusting. Sometimes there are things with marketing that you're going to find aren't as effective in your area as they are somewhere else, or they're not as effective at this stage in your growth because of your, the level of your brand strength. And so analyzing, adjusting, those are things that you're going to have to be doing constantly. So knowing that you're finding someone coachable. The other piece of that is that I do hear this often. I just want to find a marketing manager so they can fix my marketing problems. But here's the problem with that. A marketing manager is not a magic pill. It's not like you're going to bring someone in who, they've got this history of social media or SEO or website development or whatever. And then all of a sudden, like all of your marketing problems are going to be solved. As Sydney said, they're still going to need some of that coaching. You're still going to have to be hands-on. However, with a well-trained marketing manager, you can be less involved in the day-to-day, but still involved in making those decisions, casting that vision, giving feedback, and providing that guidance, right?
Absolutely. I 100% agree with that. And the other thing that I would add is the fact that this person is 100% going to need support, not only from an owner, but also from the rest of the team. So if you have someone who does have that nice balance of innovation and being well organized, they're going to need support from everyone else in order to make sure that their innovation is being acted upon, or that if they have support admin staff that are helping them understand their data more accurately, that they have the admin staff in place that are going to accurately give them that data. So I will say the marketing manager should be like the driver of all of that. However, they are going to need support not only from owners, but also like the sales team, the admin team, multiple different teams within your company as well. So making sure that we create an environment where that collaboration is encouraged and teamwork is vital is super important for that marketing manager to also be successful.
That's huge. I love that. Yeah, this person needs to be someone who's willing to work with a team. In any role in a company, I would say the marketing manager role is probably the most integrated, should be one of the most integrated into the other departments, because if they're operating on an island, on their own little silo without the support of the team, they're really going to be challenged to be successful. The likelihood of them really driving revenue is low unless they have that support and collaboration from the other team members, for sure. So certainly someone who is willing to and excited to work with other members of the team. One of the things that we love to say here at Contractor Dynamics is that your marketing and your sales, and these are not the only departments that need to work together. However, these are two key departments, is the marketing and the sales. They're not operating on their own. They really should be integrated and collaborative, working together as the revenue department, because an effective marketing manager is really going to draw in the interest and help with that attraction. And then the sales team is going to go convert it, right? But they have to work together in order for that flow to be able to really work well. Awesome. Great point, Sydney. Well, let's do this. Now that we've talked about some of the characteristics, let's talk about the functions of a marketing manager. Maybe let's dig into overall functions that a marketing manager should be doing generally in their role. And then maybe we can get into some things that they should be doing daily or weekly. So first, can you give us just some ideas of the primary roles of a marketing manager?
Absolutely. So from a macro standpoint, the marketing manager is going to be the person who is responsible for driving marketing efforts. As we kind of mentioned before, you're going to want that driver, the doer. And so that's their key role overall, is to make sure that they are driving marketing efforts. Now, there are different components of this, but something that's really important to keep in mind when you're driving those marketing efforts is the fact that that person would be responsible for communicating with the different departments within your team, also communicating with outside vendors. So for instance, if you have an SEO team, if you have a Google Ads company that you're working with, they need to be responsible for spearheading the communication with those vendors to make sure that the company's vision is properly communicated to those companies and that those third parties are held accountable to whatever activity that they are engaging in. So those regular meetings, that continual communication, holding them accountable is super important. And then the third part of that would be the internal accountability. So typically a company will start out with a marketing manager and they are sort of their own department. But as the company grows over time, what we tend to see is that the marketing manager may get an assistant. The marketing manager may have a videographer or a social media manager that helps them with the different marketing roles as that department tends to grow over time. And as it does grow over time, it's imperative that the marketing manager holds those specific team members accountable and also leads them, again, towards the vision of the company so that we're all kind of rowing in the same direction.
That's a great point. And one of the things I just heard you say that I want to emphasize is that person is going to help hold people accountable for the vision of the company, which means if your marketing manager is not clear on the vision of the company, then there's an issue. The likelihood of them being able to hold people accountable to anything is going to be extremely low unless they have that clear vision. So if you're an owner and you're listening to this, please stop right now or right after this episode is over. We'd love for you to listen to the end because we'll give you some more good nuggets in here. But sit down and write down a vision. If you have it in your head, awesome, but that's not enough. You need it actually written down. And then the next step is sharing it with your team, especially that marketing manager, so they can be successful. They can hold other people accountable. They can make sure that your messaging and your efforts are all aligned with that vision. That's massive. That's going to be a huge piece. And I know that sometimes that seems like extra work that's not necessary, but let me tell you this, if you don't have a vision, your marketing efforts and dollars will likely be wasted in many different areas. I've seen it time and time again. So if you want to reduce that waste and be really intentional with your efforts, and again, help that marketing manager really drive revenue, please make sure that you've got that done. That's awesome. All right, let's get into some more of the functions of a marketing manager. Sydney, what else are they doing, from week to week?
The marketing manager position is a very diverse position. So there are going to be many responsibilities of this person once we get into like the more detailed responsibilities. So first and foremost, I would say that this person needs to be responsible for running marketing meetings. And if you are not having marketing meetings with your marketing manager, or you are not discussing marketing at all in your existing meetings, then this needs to be step one. Whether you have a marketing manager or you don't have a marketing manager, you need to have marketing meetings where you discuss the initiatives that are being taken care of, what your goals are, where you're heading, the activities being done, all of that. So the marketing manager ultimately needs to be driving those meetings. At Contractor Dynamics, we have those meetings weekly. We encourage all of our clients to have those meetings weekly as well. And the owner should be involved in those meetings. Again, to make sure that there is congruency in what's happening with the vision of the company and the marketing and the messaging that's going out. So the owner should be involved in those meetings. Now, like I said before, as the company grows, you're going to have multiple people involved in those marketing meetings, like the marketing manager, the videographer, a social media manager. But when you're first starting, it may just be the marketing manager and the owner, and that is perfectly fine as long as you are continuing to have those meetings in order to ensure that there's accountability, that you're on the same page. That is just absolutely important. If you're an owner listening to this and you have a marketing manager and you're not having these meetings, please, please, please help your marketing manager by making sure that you have weekly marketing meetings with them so that they can lean on you as a resource as they're driving these marketing efforts.
Yeah, that's a great point. And again, some of this may seem really simple, you guys. Have a vision, have a meeting. However, the reality is that I meet with people every single week who say, well, we don't have a set meeting, but we talk all the time. There is a massive difference between talk all the time and sit down and have an intentional, focused meeting with an agenda with specific items that you're going through, problems that you're solving, accountability action steps that you're setting. That's a massive difference. So please make sure that you're having these meetings. It's very common for us to hear frustrated owners who are also not meeting with their marketing managers. So don't make that mistake.
Yeah, and vice versa. We hear frustrations from marketing managers all the time who say that they see the owners and the owner, goes to sales meetings and whatnot, but doesn't prioritize marketing meetings. So you're doing a disservice to your marketing manager by not having those meetings with them. So another thing I would just say is that if you are a marketing manager and you are not having those meetings with your owner, be the doer, be the driver, and tell the owner that you need that standing time every single week to make sure that you are on the same page. Let them know, like, this is my job. Just be quite frank with them. Let them know this is what you need to be successful in your position. And most of the time, they'll make time for you. But hold them accountable to that. And if you are an owner and you are listening to this and you don't have those marketing meetings, then set up a recurring meeting with your marketing manager so that we can accomplish all of the things that we just talked about.
What would you say are a couple of the other functions? Obviously, we could get into 50 different things or even more that a marketing manager can be doing, every single week and month. There's so many different, activities that you can be doing depending on your stage of growth. But what are a couple more for a company who has a full-time marketing manager? What are a few of those other things that marketing manager should be doing?
Yeah, so the next thing I would say that's absolutely crucial with the marketing role is that you are tracking your numbers and your data regularly. So this should be a component of the marketing meetings that we just talked about, but setting time aside to track all of those numbers is wildly important. So everything ranging from social media engagement statistics to lead statistics to brand awareness statistics. We do hear a lot of owners say things like, how do we increase leads? How do we increase leads? And that is a very important component of the business. However, that is one sector of data that we should be tracking when there are multiple sectors of data that should be tracked on a weekly basis. In addition to that, there's also data points that you should be tracking monthly or quarterly, just to kind of get a more zoomed out perspective of that data as well. So that is a super crucial part of the marketing manager role, is tracking that data on a regular basis and communicating it with the owner, the marketing team, the team members that need to know that pertinent information.
That's huge. I will say that some of those numbers, for example, like let's say that you all are running Facebook and Instagram ads. The great news is the marketing manager can log into the Meta Business Suite. They can look at those numbers themselves. However, there is a component of data, for example, that's not a number. So, information back from the sales team on a big part of the tracking that you're going to have to do is not just going to be a number that you're going to find, in your Google Suite or wherever. A big part of what that marketing person is going to need is going to be information and feedback from other members of the team, like how those appointments are going from the sales team, or how many of those leads we're actually setting from your appointment setter or your admin. So it's important to make sure that your information is updated. So salespeople, update the CRM, leave your notes in the CRM. Owners, sales managers, help the team understand the why behind that information. That way you can support your marketing manager. Otherwise, your marketing manager is going to be just constantly going out to the team and saying, please help me with this, please help me with this. If you can get everyone in the habit of that consistent and timely feedback, everyone is going to have more success. Because when the marketing manager has that new information, they're going to adjust your marketing, whether that's budget or your targeting or your messaging, to get better and better results from your marketing. So that's going to be huge. A massive function of the marketing manager, and then a massive function of the rest of the team to be able to support them as well. Sydney, let's get into a couple other functions of the marketing manager before we dig into some more ways that the rest of the team can really help them win. What are a couple of the other functions that you would think are really important?
Yeah. So again, this relates back to the driver characteristic. This person is responsible for coming up with a marketing plan. Now, that doesn't mean they do it completely by themselves without any input from, outside resources or from the owner or other team members, but they are responsible for coming up with the plan and determining the priorities based on what is going on within the company. So for instance, marketing is such a vast ocean of opportunities that you can implement. I mean, I even think about it from Contractor Dynamics, and we work with marketing managers at roofing companies all the time who tell us like, I have all of these ideas, and that is marvelous. But as the marketing manager, you are responsible for not only coming up with ideas and gathering the ideas, but also determining what is the most important and what needs to be implemented first and foremost in order to make the most immediate traction within the company. So I would just say that's something that's really important, is coming up with the plan and then holding whatever team members are involved with the plan accountable to see its completion.
That's huge. Creating that marketing plan, actually having a plan and not just sort of going along with things. When should we create a marketing plan, Sydney?
Multiple times. So I would say yearly, you need to make a marketing plan for the year, like your marketing goals for the year, what's going to be implemented. And then we also recommend making a marketing plan quarterly so that you know where your attention is going to lie quarter over quarter. So when you're making your annual plan, you can divide it out into quarters. And if you're looking at your annual plan and you see like 50 different milestones that you want to put in place, and you start breaking it down by quarter and you're like, there's no way we're getting all this done, then that tells you that you kind of put too much on your plate. So that's a good indication that you're going to need to kind of limit some of those objectives to make sure that you see them to completion. In addition to that, I would say that you should be creating that marketing plan annually and then checking up on it, working on those different quarterly milestones on a quarterly basis. However, there should be weekly check-ins on those quarterly milestones to make sure that we are making progress on those. Or if we face hurdles with those, discuss them, come up with solutions as we need to in order to make sure that we follow through with all of those.
That constant analyzing and adjusting as needed, that's just huge, a massive part of marketing. Okay, well, Sydney, question. So your marketing manager should have a weekly marketing meeting where they're meeting with that owner or any other members of the marketing team. Any other meetings that marketing manager should attend or have during the week?
Absolutely, yes. I would say they should either be having a meeting with your sales manager on a weekly basis, or they should be attending the sales meetings. And in fact, I encourage you every now and then, you should definitely be attending a sales meeting. So like if you have a sales manager in place, the marketing manager could connect with that person in a weekly meeting. However, they should attend like a monthly sales meeting. And the purpose behind that is to make sure that you are acquiring information from the sales team about what the marketing team is doing and get some feedback from it. So for instance, if the marketing manager is working diligently to acquire leads, and then they go to the sales meeting, let's say once a month after meeting with the sales manager multiple times, and they say, hey, I ran these ads. My goal with these ads was to get higher quality appointments for y'all. Can you give me feedback? Did you feel like you had higher quality appointments over the course of the last few weeks? And if the sales team says, heck no, absolutely not, they were trash, well, then the marketing team knows like, okay, I got to go, adjust this strategy because clearly it's not working. Or they could say like, hey, my goal was to increase the number of leads that we got. They go back to the sales team and the sales team said, yeah, we got a lot more leads, but we couldn't get a hold of half of them. So it didn't really make much difference. Well, that's also good to know. You could also kind of problem solve a little bit too. Like how many times are we calling these people? Are we calling them back right away? Just kind of, there's a lot of different optimizations that we can make with that feedback from the sales team. So I would say communicating with the sales team is also really important. In addition to that, the marketing manager should be having regular, I'd say weekly, meetings with some kind of admin person who is in charge of answering the phones, communicating with customers initially. And the reason for that is if your admin person is reaching out to leads, and again, they're finding that, they call and they can't get a hold of anybody, even though they've called them 5 times or 10 times. Or they call and the people answer the phone and they say, we never reached out to you. We never filled out a form. We have no idea who you are. Well, that's really good feedback for the marketing manager to know as well, so that they're aware that we're not getting high quality leads in the door. In fact, we're getting like completely unqualified leads, so that they can adjust their messaging, the type of advertising that they're doing in order to make sure that we're attracting not just a quantity of leads, but a quality of leads as well.
That's huge. And one thing I want to note there is that consistent feedback is extremely important from your internal team. That's also extremely important if you work with any third parties or agencies. One of the massive reasons you want to have a person in place whose responsibility is marketing, as Sydney said earlier, is to hold those third parties or those agencies accountable. And one thing that's really important is if you're getting frustrated because you believe this agency or this third party, isn't getting you great results, it may be that they simply need some feedback from you. That's one of the primary responsibilities of that marketing manager, is not only to get that feedback from the team, but to communicate that to anyone who's helping with the actual execution of the marketing plan. So just please remember that even if you've just hired this agency who you believe is the best agency in the entire world, who's gotten amazing results for everyone over all over the country, and there's no way you can fail, you still have to have your hands in that relationship. Your marketing manager is going to be a great person to share that consistent feedback with them to make sure that you're optimizing that relationship as well. So this is great information, Sydney. Thanks for sharing more about their characteristics and traits. Again, we could go on and on about that. We could talk about the functions forever. And maybe what we'll do is do a few more episodes on really digging into all of the different channels and platforms and things that a marketing manager can really utilize to help you all succeed. But right now, what I'd like to do is maybe dig into maybe the top 3 to 4 things that we, the team, the owner, the sales team, whomever, can do to help this marketing manager drive revenue and really win. So what's one thing that an owner specifically could do, Sydney, to really help that person win? I know we've touched on a few of these already, but what's one more thing an owner can do to help them win?
I would say that the marketing manager is going to need direction from the owner on what sort of rope they have to work with in terms of how much control they have over their position. At what point do they need to say, okay, owner, I have this expense that I want to invest in. Do I have approval to move forward with this? I would say outline what the parameters are that they can work with, so that they know how much control over they have in terms of decision making within their role. And I would say to kind of go alongside of that, they are going to need a budget. Like as a marketing director, I can tell you that if you just let me run with budget, I'm going to run with budget because I'm going to make some stuff happen. And it's really exciting for me. But if you let your marketing manager do that, you are going to be completely unaware of what is being spent, and then it's going to kind of blow up later when you realize what's happening. So what I would say is give them parameters and give them a budget to work within so that they can say, okay, this is what I can spend, let's just say a quarter on marketing. Well, if this is my budget for this quarter on marketing, then I need to make sure as a marketing manager that I am investing this budget wisely, not just blowing money, but assessing where I can divide up that budget based on our different activities and reallocate it as I need to based on what is working for our company. So as an owner, I would say make sure that you give them some parameters to work within in terms of budget. Let them know how much rope they have to work with in that regard so that they can really take that budget and run with it.
That's huge. As a marketing manager, if you're not clear on that, there's going to be a lot of bottlenecks. You're going to be waiting around for decisions to be made. It's going to be really difficult to launch ads and, get involved in the community. There's going to be a lot of stops there, which could really slow progress. So that's huge. Yeah, awesome. Okay, what about sales team members? So if you're speaking to a sales manager who's got a team of people, what is something that team of people can do to really help that marketing manager win and drive revenue?
When the marketing manager comes to the sales team and says, I need help gathering content, please help them gather content. Let's talk about this from just a production efficiency standpoint. If your sales team or your project management team is not helping your marketing manager collect content, then the marketing manager is going to be driving around from job site to job site trying to collect content when there are already team members on site who are capable of doing such things. Now, if we have a specific job that requires like a higher quality production and the marketing manager needs to be there, that's one thing, but it is wildly inefficient for your marketing manager to be running all over multiple counties, trying to take pictures of jobs, trying to take, selfie videos of what's going on. And we, as marketing managers, are supposed to talk to the public, like homeowners, about your services. It's not necessarily the marketing manager's job to get on a roof and be able to tell you the specifics of what's going on in that roof. So let the experts do that. The project managers, the salespeople that understand what's going on that roof, let them take the selfie video describing what's happening or describing how the homeowner felt when they found out this information. If your marketing manager says, please help me gather content, then please, 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 sales team, sales manager, owner, back that person up and make sure that we are having a balance between acquiring that content and also allowing the sales team the time that they need to do their jobs effectively. But there has to be that teamwork there, or else the marketing manager is going to be in a very inefficient situation and they will not be able to do their job as effectively as they could otherwise.
That is huge. Sydney, would you say, I think that's probably maybe the top complaint or headache of marketing managers that we've worked with. Wouldn't you say that's at least in the top 3, if not the top?
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Hands down.
It's huge, you guys. And here's the deal. If you're a salesperson or a sales manager or an owner and you're thinking, okay, well, they're just there to sell the job. Those guys, they're just there to sell the job. They don't know how to do it. They don't like video. Okay, I hear what you're saying. I get it. Most people don't wake up just so psyched to get on video and talk about a roof or whatever every day. That's true. However, how often are you, the salesperson or the project manager or the sales manager, on a job without a smartphone in your hand? I think the likelihood is that you are never on a project without that. And more than likely, you have it in your hand and you're already doing some documentation, right? You're probably uploading some, footage to company cam for liability purposes or for insurance or whatever. So simply switch it around and create one more piece of content and get in the habit of that so that your marketing manager, again, like Sydney said, is more effective and they have what they need to be able to be successful. The teams who are winning with marketing, they've gotten buy-in from the team. So that marketing manager isn't on their own having to, drive around, like Sydney said, and try to gather content from everywhere. So teams, don't be lazy. Don't make excuses. Just get out there and help create that content. Marketing managers, speaking directly to you as a doer, one of the things that you can do if your team is really struggling with creating video, give them some how-to. Put them together some bullet points. Go out and do it with them. Help them become more familiar because it is a challenge. Absolutely. It's a difficult thing to do, but necessary, and it has massive benefits if you go through with it.
The other thing I just want to add, a couple different components, is that yes, the marketing manager should be responsible for teaching the sales team what they're looking for. So that should be the responsibility of the marketing manager. The responsibility of the sales manager or the owner would be to create an accountability system to where if the sales team is not doing what they communicated they would do, that there is accountability in place to make sure that the marketing manager gets what they need. And then the third thing would be from the salesperson perspective. If you're a salesperson or you're a sales manager and you're running a sales team, you should have a deep desire to get on video, to show your face on social media. Let the marketing manager kind of help you with that. But if your face is showing up more and more on ads and social media and whatnot, we have seen a direct correlation between salespeople that are willing to get on video and their close rate. And the reason for that is because when people see you on ads or they see you on social media profiles, and then you're the person that shows up to their door, they already trust you because they've heard you speak, very knowledgeably about topics multiple times before. So your close rate increases. So if you're a salesperson, even though video is uncomfortable, trust me, I get it. If you just challenge yourself and get outside your comfort zone and do it, it will drastically help you. So help your marketing manager help you so that you can increase your close rate. It's definitely worth it. We've heard so many stories from salespeople tell us that exact same thing as a result of them kind of helping with video and stepping outside their comfort zone with that.
That's huge. Yeah, that's huge. Well, you guys, as we round it down here, one of the things that I want to note is that marketing is something that changes. You all know that it used to be, you know what I mean, the yellow pages. I think this is an interesting story. Apple, one of the ideas behind the name was that A is in the very beginning of the phone book, right? Like that was strategic. So that was how you kind of thought about marketing then. It's not the same anymore. Most people aren't pulling out their phone books and looking for their roofing contractor, right? People are on social media or on Google. The Google algorithm just changed. There are new social media platforms that are coming out. TV is completely different, from what it used to be a few years ago with streaming services and everything. So marketing is consistently changing. So one of the things that we have seen is that when a marketing manager can receive some training and some help on the latest and greatest, the things that are going on with marketing now that are effective for your specific services, that person is going to be more successful. So Sydney, would you just give us kind of a 10,000 foot view of what we do at Contractor Dynamics to support marketing managers?
Absolutely. So essentially the first thing that we're going to do is determine what the goal is within the marketing department and within the company. We're going to dig really deep. We have our initial calls with folks that last an hour and a half long. We want to know the history of the company, not necessarily like how it started and all that, although that can be important for marketing messaging. We want to know like what you've tried. Did it work? Was it effective? What are your goals? And then from there, we work with marketing managers and owners to create customized plans for them with monthly milestones that are mapped out for marketing managers in order to determine what needs to be done in order to accomplish those goals. And in between the month over month, we have those milestones, but every other week, our marketing managers that we work with have meetings with our team, our marketing trainers, and the marketing trainers coach them, hold them accountable to getting those monthly milestones completed. And in addition to that, if they notice anything where they're like, hey, you need to ask for help on this from your owner, they'll get the owner involved, things like that. And then in addition to that, we communicate with the owners about what's being done, like progress, if we're running a little bit behind, and if that's justified. So there's a lot of communication that happens between our team and the owners and the marketing managers as well, just to make sure that those milestones are effectively being completed.
Well, you guys, thank you for tuning in today. If you got anything out of this, I hope that you will go and find, someone who is a doer, somebody who takes initiative, somebody who is a culture fit for your business for that marketing manager position. If you already have one, I hope that you will support them, create great content with them, meet with them, create a vision with them, give them a budget so that they can be really successful so that you can meet your goals for the year. Thanks for tuning in, you guys. Sydney, thanks for being here and for all your feedback. This was awesome.
Thank you. Yes, this was a blast. I hope everyone implements what we talked about today.
Awesome.
Thank you for tuning in on today's episode of the Nailed It podcast with myself and Elizabeth Lytle. We really enjoyed the process. We hope you enjoyed all of the information that we shared. We wanted to give you a little sneak peek of something that is in the works at Contractor Dynamics. We are in the process of putting together a marketing manager mastermind group. So as more details come out about this marketing mastermind, we will certainly let you know, but it's in the works. So we're excited to kind of give you a sneak peek of what that will consist of on a regular basis. In addition to that, if you have a marketing manager in your roofing company currently and you are looking for some training opportunities, you're looking for some accountability for that person and for yourself, well, this is a great opportunity to reach out to our team at Contractor Dynamics. Feel free to click the link in the description. You can schedule a call with Elizabeth Lytle herself. She will walk you through the process, see if we're a good fit, and we'll go from there. We hope you enjoyed this podcast, and we hope you crush the rest of your day.